Hi everyone, today we're going to be looking at the Feelworld Livepro L1 multi-format video mixer. And yeah, I know that's a mouthful, but basically it's a little black box that allows you to hook up to 4 cameras and switch between them quickly for your live streams, conference calls, or content creation. Now, full disclosure, Feelworld did send this device out to me for free in exchange for a review, but they have not seen this video before I published it, and of course I'll be giving you my honest opinion. Also, you may see some links down below to the manufacturer directly or to an Amazon affiliate link. And I am an Amazon associate and I'll earn a fee on any qualifying purchases. That helps support the channel and I really appreciate it. So with that out of the way, let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to do a quick overview of the device, the input, the outputs, some of the controls and use cases, but I'm going to be using this device to create this entire video. Also, I've been using this device for about 3 weeks now in my live streaming, and I live stream, 3 days a week, about 4 hours a day, and this thing is operated without a glitch. So it's been awesome because it really improved the production quality of my live streams. And also it saves me a lot of time in post-production when I'm creating content. And you'll see what I mean when I start talking about some of the features. So let's just switch to it now. So now looking at the device itself, you can see we have multiple ports along the back and along the side. And of course we have all of the controls here on top. But in the center here, we have a wonderful LCD screen that shows you what's actually coming into the device via the HDMI ports. And right now I have 4 cameras hooked up to the device. So this is camera 1, camera 2, camera 3, and camera 4. And I can switch between any of these cameras by one of these corresponding buttons. And I can see what that camera is showing because right here is camera 1, camera 2, camera 3, and camera 4. So if I want to switch back to say camera 1, which has, my face, right? I would just push button number 1, which is already blinking, and then just slide the T-bar, and now we're back to camera 1. But if I want to switch over to say camera 4, which is right now pointing at my buddy Reese, I would just simply push the button number 4 and slide back over, and now you're seeing camera number 4. So if you have multiple people during a live stream or something, this is an easy way to kind of switch back and forth between the 2 people. Also, let's go back to the device itself. Now, the next port here is also an HDMI port, but this is the HDMI Out port, which gives you some additional visual aids when you're working with multiple cameras. And I'll come to that in a little bit. And then next to that is your power input. This is just a standard 12-volt power supply, which is included. And then along the side here, we have a couple of interesting things. We have an Rj45 Jack. And what that allows you to do is hook this device directly up to your router, and then anyone on your network can access this device via an IP address. So if, say you have somebody like a production guy working in a different room outside of the studio, they can control this device from that location via the IP address. And what will pop up on the screen is sort of a virtual display of the controls, and then that will allow you to, it'll allow that person to switch between the different cameras and do some other special effects. Now, it's not a use case that I would consider, so I'm not going to go into that much more, but just know that it does have that ability. Now, right next to it, we have our audio input and output. And I was not able to get the audio input to work, but the idea is that it's supposed to override the audio input sources from the HDMI devices, i.e. these cameras, with your own audio or separate audio. Now, in real life, I think in practice, you would actually use a separate audio mixer and input that into your computer and control the volume levels and things like that directly with a dedicated audio mixer. My use case is I just use this wireless lav mic, and that's plugged into my Zoom H1, which goes into my computer, and then I input all that into my OBS software. And as you can see, there's no audio delay or lag or anything like that. I was able to get the audio output to work just fine. Basically, you just plug your headphones in and you can hear the audio coming in through the individual HDMI ports. But again, in practice, you're really going to be using a separate audio mixer, or like I said, in my case, I'm just using this little Zoom mic, and if I want to listen to the audio live, I would plug the headphones into my computer. Now let's look at the last port here, which is the HDMI out. And as I said earlier, this offers you some visual aids to help you work with multiple devices. So I'm going to switch over to camera 4, like so, and just point this at my external monitor. Now you can hook this device up to as large a monitor as you want, but I'm just going to use a little 5-inch one for demonstration purposes. And as you can see, we have 6 windows here. Now the 4 at the bottom represent the individual HDMI inputs, or the 4 cameras that I have attached to the device now. The top left one here represents the preview window, or the window that the device will switch to. And then on the top right here, we have the window that's actually being output by the device right now to your, say, streaming software, in my case, OBS. But if I'm going to switch back to camera 1, I know that I'm on camera 1 because I can see it here in the preview. So I'll just slide the T-bar over, and now I'm back to camera 1. But if I want to switch to, say, camera 3, which is just a shot of my keyboard right now, I can hit the camera 3 button, switch over, and now you're looking at my keyboard here. But let's go back to the monitor view, camera 4. And as you can see, that the last camera I was on was camera, that looks like camera 3, because that lines up to camera 3 here. And by switching buttons, if I want to go to camera 2, or if I want to go back to camera 1, I can preview which camera I'm switching to before I actually switch to it via the T-bar. So you can see how that can be very helpful when you're working with multiple cameras. But one other thing you may have noticed, and let me switch back to it, is that right here on the left side, there's actually little audio level meters showing you if there's any audio coming in from the individual HDMI sources or cameras. Now in my case, I only have one camera outputting any audio, and if I wanted audio from the other devices, I would know there's a problem because I'm not getting any audio levels bouncing up and down there. Now, again, my use case is I use a separate lavalier mic into the computer going into the OBS software, and typically you wouldn't be using the audio sources from your individual cameras, but it's a nice little feature to have if you decide you do want to use the audio sources from the individual cameras. Now, up to now, I've been using very simple fade transitions between the cameras, which is handled by the device, but the device can also do different types of transitions like a slide or a wipe or a zoom. So let me just show you a couple of them just to give you an idea. So I'm going to switch back over to this camera and focus in on the device itself. To change the transition, all I do is I go into the software button and I go into the mix menu, and then I can change it. As you can see right now, maybe it's on fade, but if I want to change it to, say, a swipe, I rotate this dial here, then I push in, it turns yellow. Now I'm in a swipe mode, and I can just swipe back and forth between the two cameras. Or if I want to switch and do a, let's try this one. What is that? There, now I'm coming in through the corner. Or I can do like, this looks like a barn door kind of thing. Yeah, see? But let me just go back to, I like this circle one sometimes. All right, so as you can see, there's multiple ways to do transitions right within the device itself, but this device also can do what they call picture-in-picture, where you can show two cameras at the same time into a single window. So let me show you what that looks like. So to do the picture-in-picture is relatively easy. We just go back into the software button and go into PIP or PIP, and then I can select the picture-in-picture mode that I want. So if I want Reese, say, for example, in the top left corner, I can do that, and then select camera 3, and then slide over, and now Reese should be over here in the top left corner. And I can say, "Hi Reese, how you doing?" And then Reese might say, "Hey, how's it going?" And then he might ask me a question like, "How do you change the focusing mode on the camera?" Then what I can do is I can switch to this camera's menu display. So let me do that. I'll just go back into picture-in-picture mode. And then Yeah, there we go. Now we're at picture mode. And I'll leave it here in the top left corner, but I want to select camera 4 because that's what this camera is on. So I can select camera 4 and then, oops, slide over. And now I have this camera in the top left corner, and then I can just go into the menu. I can say, okay, to change the focusing mode, actually you go into Super Control Panel, and you can rotate the front dial and change it to single point, continuous, manual focus, single point with manual focus, continuous with tracking, etc. And then when I'm done, I can switch back to full view of me by turning picture in picture off, like so. And now we're back to a full view of me. Now the picture in picture has some other options, so you could put the images side by side, top to bottom, or in different corners, and it'll really add some polish to your live streaming and or your content creation. Now what really got me excited about this device was the time it was going to save me in post-production. Now I just finished editing this video, except for the part that I'm recording now, and it only took me about an hour. If I had to do this without a device like this, recording off of 4 cameras, I would have had to start and stop each camera separately, and then when I was done with the total shoot, I would have had to pull 4 memory cards out, load them into my DaVinci Resolve video editing software, create 4 tracks, and then start syncing and timing all of the different cameras onto the timeline, all the while trying to sync the audio on top of that. And I can tell you that used to take me 5 to 8 hours minimum to do a job like that. So this has been a tremendous time saver. I'm working with really only a couple of files, doing a few cuts because all of the audio and everything is already synced, and then just compiling or rendering the video and putting it on YouTube. So if you do any kind of content creation, I highly recommend this device. If you do live streaming with multiple people, this will really add a lot of polish and make it look very professional, being able to switch cameras from person to person, or maybe having another camera on the whole group or 2 people, whatever it may be. It's really, really handy for something like that, and you don't have to have all these different types of capture cards plugged into your computer, with 3 or 4 different USB ports, if you have any available even. So there's a lot of benefits to having a device like this if you want to take your streaming and content creation to the next level. So if you have any questions about this device, just leave them in the comments below. Thanks again for watching. I really appreciate your time, and hopefully we'll see you again soon.